Now, the New South Wales government has flagged it will introduce tougher bail laws for high-risk domestic violence offenders, making it harder for these men to be released from jail. But it doesn't sound like the ankle bracelet idea will be part of the major reforms package yet. I'm joined by retired New South Wales Police Sergeant Glenn Gorick. Glenn, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Erin.
I want to start by asking you, and you're very experienced in this space, and thank you for your advocacy in this area, because your suggestion has been the first real practical one that I've heard. Tell us, first of all, through your experience, why you think ankle bracelets is the best way to go.
Okay, Erin. The number one priority in these domestic violence matters is the victim. Now, the victim has no way of knowing the minute that offender walks out of a court. He gets his AVO, his paper, the police release him, whoever releases him. The minute he walks out, he's lost into the system. No one notifies the victim. So we need a bracelet system that the offender has to wear, and the minute he breaches any part of the AVO, including an exclusion zone, an alarm goes off. A phone app or a bracelet that the victim has as well, and a little alarm, just like a dongle in aged care, lets her know, as well as law enforcement, they get to know. But she then has time to pack up the kids and get out of the house and get to a safe place. It gives her that time. We don't have that at the moment. These women are being killed in their own homes without any idea that they're coming. All right? And there's no system in place, and that's why we need it.
Absolutely. And look, bail is a very big part of it, but when it has to be given, this just seems like the next best thing. You look at the type of person who commits a violent act against a woman, they're not exactly someone that I would deem likely to follow a court order. 100%. You know what I mean? An AVO 100%. Seems completely useless in most of these cases.
I've seen it, Erin. They get so worked up when they get charged.
Yeah.
They sit there in the cell all night and brew. So I applied as a sergeant that bail to that behaviour. When they go before the court the next day, they've slept, they're cleaned up, and they just make promises they're never going to commit to. They get issued bail and they walk out the door. Now, I believe if you're refused bail by a police officer that has intricate knowledge of your behaviour, then if the court are going to release them the next day, it's mandatory that they get the bracelet.
So what is a possible argument against it? We've obviously got the technology. I mean, in terms of funding, God, I can't think of a more worthy thing to fund. What is the opposition to it?
I have no idea. You and I have talked about this for the last month. We've sent text messages about it. We've discussed it in length. And I have pushed it onto a number of politicians and had very poor responses. And we've explained that off air. The only time I had a reaction was when I was going on this show or I was going on to Channel 9, and that was it. And then conveniently there was responses, but not until we pushed that. Now, there's been some movement, as you know. I mean, the former Attorney-General, Mark Speakman, has announced that he's put legislation across the floor of Parliament. Mr Minns now has to take it up, right? Mr Minns now has to take it up, and I know Mr Minns has got some things going on in his family at the moment, so there's no pressure there, but others will sit in Parliament this weekend and they will come up with a strategy. Not tell everyone what we need to do. We need a strategy that says the victim is going to be safe at all times.
Their safety has to come before any right
of
an offender. Any right.
Number
Glenn,
one.
Brilliant as always. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your expertise.